Our essential question is, how do animals survive? You probably know a lot of great examples of this so far, and we talked about a little bit already, but that's what this unit is going to be about, is how do animals survive? That is that essential question that we're going to keep up in our brain, and everything we read, everything we look at, we're going to want to try and answer that question and learn different ways to answer that question. So our animal discoveries unit is what we're going to be starting. And the big idea is, how do animals play a part in the world around us? We see animals all the time. We see our pets, which we talked a lot about last unit, all over the different pets that we have in our home and what we do to care for them and what we can do, what they need to survive. We're going to talk more about wild animals, those animals outdoors, the ones that we are not in charge of feeding and taking care of and taking them on walks, but how do they survive? So that's going to be our question. I have a little poem I wanted to read to you today, and it's titled, Animals Are Amazing, which they are. Some of you have amazing pets, but let's read a little bit about this poem, okay? And this poem is by Winifred Califano. It says, kittens mew and dogs play catch. Ducks and hens lay eggs to hatch. Animals are amazing. Bees make honey and lambs make wool. Horses gallop, oxen pull. Big game lions prowl and roar. Turtles crawl and eagles soar. Animals at work and play all around me, night and day. Animals are amazing. Isn't that a nice poem? They are so amazing. I liked a couple of those examples of what animals give to us, like the honeybees. Without bees, we would not have honey. Or the lambs, we use their wool and create sweaters or scarves or socks. Lots of things come from them. I liked the line too that says, all around me, night and day. Do you remember the animals that are nocturnal? That they're awake when we are sound asleep. They're awake during the night, like owls and different nocturnal animals like that. I thought that was a really nice poem. But again, how do animals survive? That is our essential question. Let's think of an animal. Have you heard of a meerkat? I'm going to show you a picture of one. Look like this. They're so cute. Little family. I think they have them at the Tampa Zoo. Have you ever seen them at the Tampa Zoo? All right, so this meerkats, they live in hot, dry places. So think like a desert, really, really, really hot. And there's a number of ways that they adapt. Do you remember that word, adapt? That is one of our vocabulary words. Like the example was, a polar bear's thick fur helps it adapt in icy water. So adapt means kind of like survive, right? How do they adjust? What do they do to keep themselves alive and safe and healthy? So meerkats, they live in really, really hot, hot places. So what do they do to stay out of the heat? So one, they live in underground burrows. Can you say that word? Burrows. It's kind of like a tunnel they dig, and they create a space. They create a room, basically, for them to stay and be protected from the heat and the sun that's just beating down on the hot desert earth. They have thin fur. So we talked polar bear in our example, and the polar bear lives in cold, icy water, so it needs a thick fur. Think of putting on a big coat. It needs a big coat. But the meerkat, would they survive, do you think, if they had a huge, thick fur? Probably not. They would be so warm. So they have very thin fur, okay? They search for food in the early mornings when it's cool. When you wake up in the morning and you're getting ready for school and the sunshine isn't quite up yet, and you go outside, maybe you're waiting for your school bus, or maybe you're getting into a grown-up's car to take you to school. Some mornings it feels kind of cool. You're like, oh my goodness. And then in the afternoon, the sunshine is out and it's so hot. So these meerkats, they go out early morning before the hot sun comes up so they can look for their food. So we're going to create a bubble map today. So I want you to do this along with me. You can pause the video Okay, and then you're going to fill in some more on your own too. But we're going to make one and we're going to write how animals survive. So we have a couple, and we're thinking of wild animals. Okay, so not dogs and cats, animals that could be pets. We're thinking of animals like the meerkat. Like, how do they survive? So I'd like to think the polar bear, he has fur to keep him warm, right? To keep him insulated and cozy. Same with the meerkats. So let's write a couple examples of how animals survive. So we can say those two examples have fur. So we might say they have fur. Some of them. And remember, when we're filling out our bubble map, go ahead and write the words first and then circle. It keeps it really nice and organized for you instead of drawing the circle and having to crunch and scrunch your words in there. And then you draw that line. Back to our main topic, how animals survive. What else? So what else did those meerkats do? So we know they have really thin fur, okay? And depending on the animal, they're going to maybe have different kinds of fur. Somebody like a seal or an animal that lives in the water, they have protectant oils on their skin in different ways so that the water can just bead right off of them so that they don't get too cold. So let's see, what about where they live? So they might live like the meerkats. Where do they live? They live in burrows. They live in burrows. So we can say they're shelters. I just wrote different homes because different shelters, different places, every animal is going to have a slightly different home that they live in. There we go, different homes. So I want you to be thinking, you can think of a specific animal, like I'm thinking of a meerkat as I'm doing these. Think of other animals. You think about a squirrel or maybe one of like an egret, like one of those really tall, beautiful white birds that walk around out on the street. How do you think they survive? What makes them different? What about their long legs? How do you think that helps them catch their food? Okay, so I'd like you to choose a few more ways that wild animals survive and send me a picture in Dojo. I look forward to seeing it.